Hello, and welcome back for another adventure in the cookie jar. Today we're doing the 11th recipe from the Cinnamon Roll Murder. It is the raspberry drop sandwich cookies with a raspberry cream frosting. It does seem like quite a lot of pages, but you're going to preheat your oven to 375. You want 1.5 cups of white sugar, 1 cup of salted butter softened, 3 large eggs, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 cups of raspberry pie filling, 3 cups all-purpose flour, and 3/4 cup raspberry cream frosting. It does say to make the frosting first, and unless you have a very strong stirring arm, use an electric mixer to make this cookie dough. For the frosting, you're going to want 3 cups of powdered sugar, 1/4 cup of heavy cream, and 3 tablespoons seedless raspberry jam. It says an additional cup of powdered sugar if needed. It's one of those recipes: too thin, add powdered sugar; too thick, add milk. If there's any frosting left over, frost some graham crackers as a special treat for the kids when they come home from school. You can also frost soda crackers, salt side down, or ginger snaps. You'll clearly have some left over because it says it makes 3 cups and you only need 3/4 of a cup for the sandwich cookies. But everything seems pretty straightforward. So let's get started. This is everything we'll need for today. Okay, so first things first is to make the powdered sugar or the frosting. I'm just going to try to break up some of the larger lumps in my powdered sugar real fast. All right, so the first thing is we're going to whisk in the cream. Why it says to do this with a whisk, I'm not quite sure because this doesn't feel like it's working very well at all. This is definitely, we might be adding a lot more cream to this, but we will see. It does say to take your 3 tablespoons of jelly and to melt it slightly, just so it's a little runny. Yeah, this is not... Sit that over there. And I am going to see what we can make of. This almost seems closer to a fondant right now. It's nowhere near mixed in. It's nowhere near smooth. And I definitely don't see 3 cups either. I don't know what frosting it's determining off of where they're going to get 3 cups of icing out of this. But I see maybe a cup, not 3. And it's kind of an ugly pink. Like a very dusty pink. If this weren't a by the book kind of video, I would definitely try adding some of the leftover pie filling I had. 1, to try to enhance the raspberry flavor, and 2, to try to get a better color. I think that's where I am going to try to leave this at. Okay, so it does have some interesting instructions for how to begin these cookies. It says to place the sugar in first. All right, and then place the butter on top. Funnily enough, it says in the book that it means room temperature, not in a farmhouse in the middle of winter. So make sure if it is cold in your kitchen, it being a very odd November in North Carolina, it is very chilly in my kitchen. So I did pop these into the microwave for a couple of seconds per side. And it says for every level of your mixer to mix it for 1 minute on each setting and scrape down the bowl in between. I'm not doing 10 minutes of mixing butter. Plus the 10 on a KitchenAid is like a small amount of egg whites. So I'll probably do it to like 5 maybe, just to see what it gets us to. We're gonna turn it back down to low. We're gonna add the eggs 1 at a time. That's where I'm gonna add the salt. And then the baking soda. Another shake down. All right, so turn it back to low and add in the pie filling. Which, how you're supposed to add this in slowly, it just, I guess it just kind of wiggles in. And the flour. Yeah, I'm not doing this. I've never mixed flour with the mixer on. It says a cup at a time. So about a third of it each drop. My entire sink is full of dishes. My goodness. All right. It does seem wet. Like, in order to scoop this out, I'm going to have to dip my cookie scoop in water. It's that kind of wet. This has been a very messy recipe. All right. So, handy dandy cookie scoop. I will try one just to see how it comes out. Kinda. Try it with water, see what we get. Oh yeah, dipping it's the way to go. That's one down. I'm just gonna scoop up the rest and we'll see how many we end up with. Okay, so we have the cookies all lined up. I flipped them upside down. We're only gonna ice half of the cookies. So just one side. I did put it in a piping bag to make it a little bit easier, maybe a little faster. So just going to go I am wondering if I'm gonna have enough icing, and in all honesty, I really don't think I am. And I don't feel like I'm over icing these, so. I don't think their icing ratio is quite right. And I do think I'm gonna have cookies without icing. So maybe their icing ratio was for 2.5 cookies, like dozen. And that was it. Because that's it. So now we just go back and close them up. They are very puffy cookies. I will give them that. And there we go. That is our cookie. We did end up with enough to make 7 more sandwich cookies. If we had icing, I might just put the leftover jam in there. But we did end up with 2.5 dozen of the cookies.
So I did lose audio, unfortunately. They are very raspberry centered, but they're also very kind of sickly sweet in the icing. Overall, they're a good little cookie. They are very puffy, so they're almost like exactly like a whoopie cookie, sandwich cookie. Overall, pretty good. Like I said, my only downplay is that with the icing, it's just overly too sweet. Other than that, they were pretty easy to throw together. They were pretty quick. Next week, we are making apple cinnamon whippersnappers. If you are interested in seeing that, join us next week. I hope you all have a good one. Bye, guys.